The island of Kinmen has long been on the front line of conflict between Taiwan and China, but these days residents are more concerned about their water supply. Rainfall on the island is very low, and what little water flows into the main reservoir is seriously polluted with organic waste. To kill off the algae and bacteria that thrive on the waste, high levels of chlorine is used. But over time, too many chemical compounds in the drinking water can also be harmful to the health.
Is this water drinkable? Blown by the wind across the lake, scum floating on top of the water is whipped up into foam on the bank. This is the blight of Kinmen residents. Moving upstream, we venture into the hills of the outlying Taiwan island. Flies dart in and out of the pig pens, feeding off the leftover slops and excrement from 70 to 80 pigs. In a few days, the gutter are full of waste material. Some is taken away to be composted, but supply far exceeds demand. Neighbors say the remainder inevitably gets washed into the river, but the real culprits are the residential houses along the riverside. Wastewater from the bathroom and kitchen flows directly into the river, some even spouting from a second-floor pipe. Pollution from the pig farm upstreams, the middle-stream residential areas, and even the fields downstream all gather in Taihu, or Lake Tai, which is the main supplier of Kinmen's water. The island in the center of Taihu attracts flocks of black cormorants. Over 8,000 of the birds pass through here every year, making Taihu a popular destination for bird watchers. Bird droppings have turned the trees white. The excrement that ends up in the water adds to the pollution problem. An engineer from the water treatment plant tests the total organic carbon, or TOC, quality of the water at a depth of 1.5 meters.
That's algae inside, the green stuff. The TOC level is higher than average, which makes water treatment more difficult for us, because the TOC level is over 10 times higher than in water in other parts of Taiwan.
The water at the top of the treatment plant fountain is green from algae that flourish on the organic material in the lake water. At the start of the treatment process, chlorine is added, the aluminum sulfate, to turn algae and other floating particles into foam. The water is then transferred into the air flotation pool to remove the scum on the top.
The purpose of air flotation is to bring the lighter algae to the surface and then scrape it off.
The whole process is controlled by computers.
To stop the public being exposed to organic pollution like bacteria, which can cause diarrhea, we add chemicals again in the mid-treatment. The mid-treatment tanks all have automatic warning systems.
Adding too much chlorine and bromine to disinfect the water can result in creation of potentially harmful trihalomethanes. So before the water reaches home, it must be tested again. The chlorine content is 0.37 ppm, which is within the EPA recommended range of 0.2 to 1.0.
At around 0.4, the chlorine tastes very strong, but most people have different tastes, because they are used to groundwater, which doesn't contain chlorine.
The final test of the water quality is the treatment plant's fish tank. If the fish can swim happily around in the water, then the residents of Kinmen have nothing to worry about.
Some of Brazil's most iconic beaches are being threatened by coastal erosion. The scientists are concerned with the near disappearance of the sand strips at many spots along the coast. Global warming and sea level rise are to blame.
Copacabana Beach is one of Brazil's most famous tourist attractions, but environmentalists warn the sand on parts of the beach is in danger of disappearing as it is washed away by the sea.
This whole stretch is going to disappear, including the beachside broadwalk. The sea will invade this whole stretch of sand, the sand will be removed, and the waves will break into the street.
Leblon Beach is now narrower than ever before, and major sand displacements have been registered along Ipanema Beach. The coastline could advance between 100 and 150 meters into the city.
For instance, this is the coast of the city of Fortaleza in Ceará State, and you can see all of it is eroded. Despite all the work that was done, there are no more beaches practically.
In Copacabana, the research team begins by measuring sea wave frequency. At regular intervals, sediment samples are collected and later measured at the university's laboratory. The data reveals the energy of the sea and helps to predict future scenarios. Beach vendors in some of the most affected areas fear for their future. Oceanologists are urging the government to take preventative measures, like building offshore wave barriers. 189 kilometers east of Rio de Janeiro, concrete barriers placed to protect the beach were destroyed this past winter by the fury of the sea. The only long-term solution is to halt the global warming, which creates rising sea levels.